नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं हूँ चित्रता सान्याल और आप देख रहे हैं मैं भी भारत। आज एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण विषय पे हम चर्चा करेंगे। आप जानते हैं कि बीते 2.5 महीने से मणिपुर जल रहा है। मैतेई, कुकी और नागा समुदाय के बीच ऐसी टकरार हुई जिससे हिंसा फैली और हिंसा में कई लोगों की जानें भी गईं और आज भी कई हजार लोग अपने घर बार छोड़कर त्राण शिविरों में रह रहे हैं। क्यों ये घटना घटी और इसके पीछे वजह क्या है, इसको जानने के लिए आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मणिपुर के एक बहुत बड़े ट्राइबल नेता विल्सन लालम हामसिंग जी। विल्सन जी, मैं भी भारत में आपका स्वागत है।
थैंक यू।
सबसे पहले हम एक ही चीज़ जानना चाहेंगे कि आज के तारीख में मणिपुर की हालात कैसे हैं?
I would like to speak in English because my Hindi is very poor. As of today, there is altogether a demographic partition of Manipur. The valley area has been totally vacated by the Kuki tribals, and the hill areas are also totally vacated by the Meitei valley people. They have all gone back and they're living in camps on both sides. Both people are suffering. And in the peripheral border areas of the valley and the foothills, there is sporadic shootings and fighting going on every day at some spot or the other. This is the situation right now.
तो विल्सन जी, ये बताइए कि ये घटना क्यों घटी, क्या वजह थी, क्या हुआ था उस दिन?
Well, in a simplistic way, the actual violence started on the 3rd, just after, on the 3rd of May, just after solidarity march among all the tribals of Manipur against the proposal to grant ST status to the valley people. And in the evening of the 3rd, the violence started. And since then it has been non-stop, and the population has been transferred, partitioned on both sides.
तो आपको मैतेई समुदाय जो है, कम्युनिटी है, अगर क्यों आप समझते हैं कि एसटी स्टेटस उनको मिलना ठीक नहीं है?
Personally, my analysis is that it is not a question of somebody wanting to be scheduled as a tribe or not, or somebody else not wanting somebody to be a tribe or not. It is a technical matter. It is provided, the parameters are provided in the constitutional provisions, statutory provisions. Everything is well, and the procedure also is well demarcated. It has to go to the Tribal Affairs Ministry, then the STSC Commission is there, and various other screening committees are there. They will decide it in Delhi. And I think the issue is much deeper than just this scheduled tribe demand by the Meiteis. And as you can see, the reason why they have been demanding, they themselves admit, is not because they want job reservations or other concessions which tribals get. The only and main reason is that they want access to the tribal lands in Manipur, because if they are also settled tribe, they will have access to the land the hill areas. Because if you understand Manipur, the valley, the Imphal Valley, is totally non-tribal, and the hills are totally tribal again. So the geography also is coincident with the tribal and non-tribal. This is the peculiarity of Manipur.
तो क्या आपको लगता है कि मैतेई का वो जो मांग है और जो हाई कोर्ट ने कहा भी है कि उनको एसटी स्टेटस दिया जाना चाहिए, क्या वो ट्राइबल्स नहीं हैं?
Meiteis, see, their logic is that during the British times they were tribals. which has no logic actually, because during British time the concept of scheduling of tribes was not there. Scheduling of tribes came only after the constitution of India came about. So their argument that they were tribals before, it doesn't hold water. And I mean, they want to be tribals, but at one time they didn't want to be tribals. So my point is, it's not about wanting to be, not wanting to be. You look at the technical grounds and you apply accordingly, not by just political force or by public demonstrations. In fact, there was this demand committee for scheduled tribes for the Meiteis is quite old. It is, I think, maybe 20 years old, but it never caught on the popularity among the Meiteis, because they all knew it doesn't make any difference. I mean, as far as, because they already have the SC quotas, OBC quotas, EWS quotas, as far as job reservations are there. So that is not the issue. And right now they're saying that the population of the Meiteis in the valley are coming down, and they're going to be extinct, and they keep taking the example of Tripura, where tribal population has been reduced to 20% from 70 something in the 1950s. So they are imagining this thing, but if you see the facts, the statistics, their population even in British days was around 46 in the valley, and there were other communities from non-Meiteis but non-tribals coming from the other parts of the country, like Muslims and other Indian mainland Indian traders or people who sought employment in the King's Court. These other people were there, and roughly the population has always been about 50% of the population of Manipur in the valley and 50% in the hills, and that ratio has been steadily maintained. Of course, now they say they themselves say they are 53%. Sometimes they say 56%. In fact, they are increasing in population ratio. So where is the insecurity coming from? It is just a hype, and it is just a propaganda to have some. They have an ulterior agenda, and they build up these hype and insecurity among the people, saying if we don't become ST, we are going to have a problem in another next generation. We'll be extinct. I mean, I don't think anybody becomes extinct because of change of status, ST status or not being ST status. This is all. It's just a propaganda.
तो आपने कहा कि मैतेई पहले से ही एस्टैब्लिश थे. उन्होंने बीच में ये भी कहा कि वो एसटी नहीं हैं, वो प्री इंडिपेंडेंस की बात कर रहे थे जब वो एसटी थे. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि जो मैतेई जो सोशली काफ़ी एस्टैब्लिश्ड है, वो अचानक क्यों इसको फिर, इज इट पॉलिटिकल?
See, the two definition of tribe. Tribe in a general sense, everybody in a loose way, everybody belongs to a tribe, or even in developed countries, you have the Scottish also tribe. They have clanships, they have family kinships. I mean, these are characteristics of being a tribe. But if you look at the Meitei society, they have lost all these tribal characteristics of being clannish or kinship ties among themselves. They are occupation oriented castes. If you look at their surnames also, you look at two people like Laishram. I used to think they are related. You say, no, we are not related. Then what is Laishram? Oh, it's just an occupation caste. It's a religious functionaries in the King's Court in those days. So they have lost the tribal characteristics some hundreds of years ago, when Hinduism came in the 18th century, or even earlier than that. But the king adopted Hinduism in the early 1730s, I think. And since then, with the Hinduism and caste system permeating into the Meitei society, I think they have lost their tribal characteristics. And this is, in sociology, it's called Sanskritization. And once you have become a Brahmin or a high caste religious jati, or other scribes in the king's court, and they lose their tribal lineage or kinship ties, I don't think it is reversible. You can't go back and say, I want to become a tribe. And now they say, they have this flag of the Salai Taret, 7 tribes. And they say, we belong to these 7 tribes. Okay, you must have belonged to 7 tribes at one time. But can you, each of you, identify with which specific tribe of those, one of those 7? I don't think so. And if any of them can identify and they say we still maintain our tribal characteristics, welcome. You can pick out those ones and give them tribal status. But just the whole Meitei society, including the Brahmins, Brahmins are actually not indigenous. They have all Brahmins. Brahmin is the most what you call insular caste. Other people cannot become Brahmins. I think everybody knows that. But Vaishyas and the Kshatriyas, I think it is very mobile. So at one time, the king became the Rajanya caste, and when he's defeated in war, he becomes a Shudra. These are very flexible castes. But Brahmin has to be a Brahmin. He is a born Brahmin. You cannot become a Brahmin. And so the Brahmins of among the Meiteis also are Brahmins who have come from Bengal or Bihar or Orissa, and these neighboring. At that time, all these were Bengal anyway. So loosely you can say the Bengal population has come to Manipur and become Brahmins here. Although they have intermarried to local girls and their looks may have changed, their ethnic identity is lost, but their caste identity remains Brahmin. I don't see how they can be reverted to tribal. And so also with the royalty caste, the Maharaj Kumar caste and the Raj Kumar caste, and also the religious caste like Laishram or there are many castes. And if you ask any of them with the same similar caste name, they are not related. They say, no, we're not related. If you're not related, then this cannot be put in the same category as a tribal tribal lineage group. Like if you say, I'm a Hagshing, and if you catch hold of a Hagshing from Assam or even Tripura or anybody, I'll say we are related because the family tree of Hagshing is there. The Hagshing is the name of a person. And his progeny are all Hagshings. So we are all blood related. Maybe very distant relations after so many generations, but we still maintain that tribal identity. This you cannot say with Meiteis. So it is all hogwash when they say we want to become tribals. Being a tribal or not is not. You can't become a tribal. You have to be one. As a society, I mean.
तो विल्सन जी ये बताइए कि कहा जा रहा है कि कुकी में से कि अगर एसटी स्टेटस दे दे मेतेई को तो वो जो कुकी के जो लैंड है, फॉरेस्ट लैंड जहाँ वो रहते हैं, कल्टीवेट करते हैं, फार्म है, वो कम हो जाएगा, इसी वजह से ये प्रॉब्लम है.
See, this problem is the forest. There's the Forest Act in 1927. This was during British days. They had promulgated this Forest Act. Now, if you read the Forest Act of the British Act, it is very sensitive to the tribal population there. They acknowledge that in these areas, tribals already live, which means the tribals are there even before the Forest Act. And there are provisions there that even if you declare a forest or a reserve forest or protected forest, it is subject to verification and demarcation of those areas where the tribals already lived and eked out their economic existence, where they collect firewood or where they grow their. I mean, many of them are doing jhum cultivation, so they move around. So those areas have to be demarcated, and the remaining part can be declared reserve forest or a protected forest. Now, and it has been, and because of this, many of the proposed forest areas in those even after independence 1966 or even later on, many areas were proposed to be declared. Now the system, the requirement is that they should figure out, verify the tribals living there first. You can't declare something and declare everybody living there as encroachers, and that is what the Biren Singh government has been taken. They pick up like the Khopum protected forest. It was never actually implemented because in 1966 this proposal was there in 1966, and they had a demarcation of the tribals who were already living there even before the Forest Act came in. So they had to exclude all those areas where the tribals were living, and they found out in 1972 there's a survey that in 1972 there were 38 villages even in that proposed area. Now if you demarcate and really and exclude all those areas, there's hardly any forest left. So which is why it was never followed up later on. Now suddenly this man just wakes up one day and says, oh, we have this the Khopum forest has been there, and then it has been nullified because these tribals have encroached into it. It is the other way around. The forest has been thokoed on the tribals, and also they have been demarcated out. Now he cleverly says that demarcation was technically wrong, and he nullifies that demarcation, and he says now all these are encroachers. I mean, he's put the whole Forest Act on his head. If you read the principle of the Forest Act, right, straight from 1927, the mother of the Forest Act, it gives a lot of consideration, sensitivity to the tribals who were already living there. Now this fellow says the forest is there, the tribals are encroachers. Now you get lost, and you are illegal immigrants anyway. Now this has been happening since the last 4 or 5 years, since this Biren Singh government came to power. It was never there before. Everybody was sensitive that the tribals have been living there since even before the proposal of these forests. So this is the grouse of the Kukis that has been simmering since the last 4 or 5 years, that their very existence is under threat. It is not the Meiteis whose existence is under threat. The tribals, especially the Kuki tribals, are under threat. And I'm saying especially Kuki tribals because the Manipur, the central part is the valley, and surrounding hills are all Kukis. The Nagas in the outer hills, which explains one reason, that right now the clash or the conflict is only between the Meiteis and the Kukis, and not with the Nagas, because the Kukis are buffer zone between the Meiteis and the Nagas. And I'm sure once we are annihilated, as that Meitei Lipun guy says, that he's going to annihilate us. If he succeeds, the next target will be the Nagas anyway, because their slogan is Manipur is for Meiteis only and Meiteis only. This is their slogan, and which has given rise to this violent situation now.
तो आपको क्या लगता है जो सरकार, मणिपुर सरकार भी जो कह रही है, जिस हद से जाके अभी तक 2.5 महीने हो गए, 2.5 months हो गया है, अभी भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ख़त्म नहीं हो रहा है, सरकार कुछ नहीं कर रही है, और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज़ ऑल्सो वेरी क्वाइट, जो केंद्र सरकार है उन्होंने भी कुछ अभी तक नहीं कहा है. क्या वजह है इसके पीछे?
See, all these years, 70 years of independence, we have lived together in peace. We have lived, as you can see by the population transfer, many Meiteis have settled down in the hills. There was never any problem. They have managed it, of course. They have manipulated the land laws and whatever, and they have managed there. And there's not much resentment from the neighboring Kukis also, and this is only in Kuki areas. They have not even one Meitei village is there in the Naga areas, because they are far away, and Nagas are more protective about their land. And Kukis have been more accommodating with the Meiteis, and they have settled down in Kuki areas. There has never been any problem. But suddenly now, these extremist groups like the Meitei Lipun and what Arambal, Tengol, and KYKL, all these, radical. They've been radicalized, and these last 5 years of negative propaganda has also built up emotions, and then suddenly they find patronage with the CM. The CM is the chief of all these organizations. He subscribes to them, and they have openly said, even on TV, that they worship the CM because he subscribes to their ideology. What is their ideology? To blow out all the cookies. What kind of ideology is that in this day and age? So you can see who's the victim, who's the aggressor out here. And the violence continues today because they have not given up their ideology. They are still in the border areas and burning all those isolated Kuki villages, small villages of maybe 20 houses, 40 houses, 60 houses. Those are easy targets. They are continuously, as we speak also, it is going on right now in 2 or 3 spots in the Kamupi district as well as in the Churachandpur side. So until and unless they stop this campaign and abandon this false idea of their own insecurity and also their chauvinistic, majoritarian dominating idea, this violence will go on because as long as they are the aggressor, the Kukis are forced to defend themselves.
तो केंद्र सरकार ने इस मुद्दे पे एक शांति कमेटी, पीस कमेटी का भी गठन किया था जिसमें 51 मेंबर्स थे. तो क्या वजह है कि कुकी नेता जो हैं वो इस डिस्कशन में हाजिर नहीं होना चाहते हैं, इसमें पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करना चाहते हैं?
See, right now war is going on. Even as this peace committee was proposed, Kuki villages were being attacked. In huge numbers, hordes of thousands of these people were coming up the slopes and attacking Kuki villages, burning down one after another. So this proposal, it doesn't make sense. And then the people in the peace committee are people like the CM, and then there are many other people who are directly involved with all this. It is like the wolf saying, I want to be, he wearing a sheep's clothing and saying that I want peace, I want to go into the pen. It's just another excuse for disarming all the Kukis and saying peace, peace, peace. And at the same time, they keep pushing their agenda. Unless they drop their agenda and unless they stop their aggression, and of course, the population is already divided. And unless a proper administrative fencing is done between the two communities, there cannot be peace. Either their intention is to blow out, in their own words, to blow away all the Kukis. Or the Kukis will keep defending themselves and everybody keeps dying on both sides of the firing line. That will go on. So a peace committee at this time it has no meaning until you construct an apparatus for peace, and that can be only having a good administrative fencing between the two. Separate them and then later on we can think of, then we can talk about peace among the two units, peace to live together, because geographically we cannot avoid each other. We are there, we are neighbors. You can't choose your neighbors, you're there. So we can talk about peace after the proper infrastructure is put in place. That see, it is like a husband and wife have a violent separation, and you keep insisting, no, you have peace, come live together. How can? Idea is you have to formalize that separation. Give them a formal divorce, then they can talk about peace, about the children who has custody, who has weekly visits, who looks after their education on holidays. Maybe they can go as a family together. Those kind of things can be worked out once you have formalized that separation. Now, to bring peace, now you have to formalize this separation in terms of a separate administration for either. Then we'll see. Then we can look forward to a beautiful. See, the Manipur, the area will remain the same. The same people will live in the same place.
ये बात बहुत सच है कि जैसे हमने देखा कि कुकी नेताओं ने, वहाँ के एमएलएस ने साफ कह दिया कि अगर सीएम रहेंगे तो वो इस पीस प्रोसेस का हिस्सा नहीं बनना चाहते हैं। पर बीजेपी या सेंट्रल सरकार इन्होंने अभी तक सीएम को इस पीस कमेटी से नहीं हटाया। तो ये क्लियर इंडिकेशन है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की पूरी मदद मणिपुर सरकार को मिल रही है या सीएम साहब को मिल रही है।
Well, yes and no, because right now the central government has poured in a lot of the army. The army are supposed to be neutral, and the general also has said, although the Manipur government says the Kukis are narco-terrorists, they're calling us narco-terrorists.
या बिकॉज उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि कुकी जो लोग हैं वो बेसिकली पॉपी कल्टीवेशन करते हैं और इसके ये नार्को से जुड़ा हुआ मामला है।
This is what they have been saying, and that we are basically Burmese migrants, and they're creating problem in a country where they don't belong. And so they call us illegal migrants. Then they call us refugees, because right now some trickle of refugees are coming because of the problem in Myanmar. And the thing is, see, along the border of Manipur, there are Naga areas. So across the Naga side in Myanmar would be Naga refugees who come in. Then there are Kuki areas. Then there would be Kuki refugees who come in. Then there are Meitei areas. Even in Meiteis also live in huge numbers in Burma. They have also come in. And the proper thing would have been to build up formal camps, identify these people, give them cards and aid, and monitor their movements. Then there would be no problem. The Manipur government did nothing of the sort. Those people are desperate. Although there's no evidence that the huge number to overwhelm the Manipur population is there. It is just the figment of their imagination. I think it is only even in hundreds. And many of them have actually gone back, because I think the junta is losing ground, and they are going back. The refugees have already gone back. In fact, it is a human thing. You want to go back to your home for a problem, even the Burmese side, even if they are Kukis or Nagas or Meiteis, they have lived there. Their livelihood is there. Their life have been made there. They want to go back temporarily to safeguard their lives. They have come to India, in Manipur or Mizoram or neighboring states. They're dying to go back. They don't want to live here. It's a foreign land for them. In fact, many of them have gone back. But then they use this to label as foreign militants. Now, how are we militants? I'm going one by one. They're calling us militants. Now, when we say militants, then they label us as terrorists. Now, who are the militants? The militants are the Meiteis, because they are the ones who have been rebelling against the state. They're challenging the merger agreement during the king's, the princely state's merger agreement with India and joining the constitution. They have been challenging that. And see, they have this UNLF, PLA, Pre-Pak, and about myriads of their organizations. All of them are fighting war against the state of India. Now, which Kuki organization is fighting the state? The state. Now, they call them Sioux militants. Sioux is suspension of operations with these Kuki militants. Now, these Kuki, if you understand, in the 1990s, there was ethnic violence between the Nagas and the Kukis. And prior to that, there were no Kuki militants. And we suffered. I mean, we were killed in scores. In hundreds we were killed. Without we were defenseless. And out of this emerged these armed organizations. Now, their ideology was not raising arms against the Indian state. They came up because they wanted to defend themselves. They defend their villages, their people, their areas. They were defending it. They were defensive organizations to safeguard themselves and the Kukis as a population. And so the government of India themselves have recognized this. So they call them to the table. Now the problem is to have some kind of administrative arrangement so that you can have some autonomy to rule yourself and safeguard yourself administratively. That is the Sioux talks are going on. And every time, and it's tripartite talk, the state government is also part of it. And every time something comes on the table for signing for some agreement, either in the form of district council autonomy or hill areas council or the territorial council, something is on the table for agreement, Biren Singh pulls the rug, he withdraws from it, he sabotages those things. Even now, just on the 3rd of May, there was already a conclusion of a series of tripartite discussions.
Autonomous body con.
Yeah, the territorial council was about to be agreed upon and signed. So he knew this, and this he instigated this violence. Directly, although he will deny it now, but you can see the signs. You can read it in retrospect. If you see those developments, you can see this is to sabotage that talks. But it went beyond that now. Now he's unable to control it, and now he's calling us narco-terrorists. Now, does he understand what is narco-terrorists? How can the poor fellows who have been paid to plant some poppy in a patch of their little garden, they want to, or some hill patch, some jhoom area, they have been paid to plant poppies. How can they be narco-terrorists? The narco-terrorists are the big guys with the money, who can buy those guns, the mafia-type operators, and all these cases, the people who have been caught smuggling and with huge consignments, all link to the big shots in Imphal, all Meiteis, and mainly it has also linked to the Chief Minister himself. There was a big case of Chandel where his wife was directly involved with the chairman of the Chandel District Council Committee, and in which the lady police officer Vrinda courageously stood her ground to arrest those people, and finally she lost her. She had to resign from her police job. So all this is all nonsense, he's using this term narco-terrorists and foreign militants to justify his use of state machinery, the police, commandos, IRB, against these villagers. Otherwise, how will he justify using the commandos and bombarding with them with twins mortars and twins mortars? He says, no, those are foreign militants. They are a threat to the country, he's saying. See how his warped mind, he's a Nazi actually. He should be tried like those, the Israelis had tried those Nazis. He should be tried for his crimes.
तो विल्सन जी आखिरी सवाल मेरा यही होगा कि जो परिस्थिति आज है मणिपुर में, जो आम जनता है, जो आम ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन है, वो सफ़र कर रही है, सरकार से, राज्य सरकार हो या केंद्र सरकार हो, कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर्स जिसको हम कहते हैं, क्या कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग मेजर्स आना चाहिए मणिपुर में ताकि वहाँ शांति बहाल हो और आम लोग जो हैं, जो सफ़र कर रहे हैं, जो कैंप्स में रह रहे हैं, वो अपने घर वापस आ पाए?
Of course, in any calamity, the natural or man-made or violence like this, it's always the common folks who suffer the most. But also, it is not just everybody suffers. You see, one of our MLAs he's still struggling with his life. His family has suffered. Their property has all been destroyed. Another minister, he not only his house, his main house in Imphal, but in other areas in Imphal, 3 or 4 of his property has been vandalized and finished. There's nothing left. My house has been broken and vandalized. My brother's house has been destroyed. There's nothing left. Not even a door hinge is left. So everybody has suffered. Of course, the suffering of the poor, the people who live on daily wages, it is more stark because they are more exposed to that subsistence daily. We have more cushion. Maybe we have, at least I have my pension. That can't be burnt. It'll come. So in that way, we have some cushion. But people who are living hand to mouth, they suffer a lot. And even I left Imphal on the 10th, on the 9th, I think, 9th, in an army convoy, Assam Rifles convoy. I hopped on to a truck where there were other 30 women and children in the same truck. And we had to pull down the blinds, and we were taken in a convoy to the hills. And the sigh of relief we felt when we reached, everybody was the same. We were all, when your life is threatened, there's no common people, or there's no retired bureaucrats or whatever you call them, or high caste, this and that. When death is staring at us, I think we're all the same. And that's what we are looking at right now, every day.
क्या आप एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे प्रधानमंत्री इस बात को, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री ने कुकी लोगों का यही कहना है कि प्रधानमंत्री ने अभी तक इस बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा है, चुप्पी साधी हुई है. क्या आप चाहेंगे प्रधानमंत्री कुछ अपील करें?
See, I suppose he has delegated this home authority to the Home Minister Amit Shah, and Amit Shah has already come there, not once but twice. I think he has come there, or at least he's come to the northeast for talks in Guwahati or wherever. And he is also trying to come around to a solution which should be which should not create more problems. Because it is a very complex. It's not very simple. It's not very simple. Many pulls and pushes are there from all angles. As you said, there are 3 big communities in Manipur. The Nagas are involved, though not in the violence, but they will be involved in any settlement. They would be concerned also. And the Meiteis are also shouting the Manipur cannot be, the integrity cannot be compromised. But it is they who have already compromised the integrity of Manipur by resorting to this kind of, targeted violence against a community, cleaning the valley, cleansing the valley of a particular community, and the retaliation was from the hills. So there is already a cleansing of population from both sides, and it is already a complete. It is already partitioned Manipur. As I said, you just need to formalize that partition.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. थैंक यू.
Thank you.